Jets lose 34-32. There's a ton to dive into here. There is a lot to dive into. So first things first, I gotta say this. Yes, we lose. Came right down to the end. And I don't want to make this out to sound, hey, moral victories, we should be happy that we lost only by 2 points. But watching that game gave me more comfort in the coaching staff than the last 2 years combined. The way this team was playing, flying around, game plan, the play calls, the effort, the aggression, I loved it all. I really loved it all, and I think there are so many positives that you can pull away from this game. But before we dive into it, we have to talk about why, of course, the Jets lost, and I really think it comes down to 3 things. First things first, though, we have to look at the game with context. One team is constantly disrespected, projected to win 5.5 wins, or the over-under, 5.5 wins. You guys know what I'm talking about. One team is projected to finish with a top 5 to top 10 draft selection. The other team, internally speaking, their goal, hoisting the Lombardi trophy. All in. Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, Darius Slay, Jonnu Smith, Jalen Ramsey, all these guys. It's a veteran-led team that is projected to win double digits. That is, again, there is a lot of buzz around that organization. Mike Tomlin's a veteran coach. Arthur Smith's a veteran coach. There's a lot of older players that have seen quite a bit of football. So, again, understanding the context of this game, the fact that the score was what it was, 34-32, and it did come down to that last drive. I mean, who would have... If Garrett Wilson hung on to that ball, by the way, credit Jalen Ramsey, great tackle. It was a clean tackle. If I wasn't a Jet fan, I would have been fired up. I love defensive football. Great play there. But if Garrett hung on to that, we still had a timeout in our pocket. Who's to say we're down by 2, right? We lost by 2. Who's to say that we wouldn't have picked up another chunk play and kicked a field goal? We were in it to the end despite the mistakes that we're about to talk about. Or maybe mistakes isn't the right word. Reasons why we lost. The first reason. This, to me, really felt like the turning point. The Xavier Gibson fumble on special teams. Damn, I was watching that and I'm thinking, I really hope this does not come back to bite the Jets. It was very tough stopping Pittsburgh's offense pretty much the entire day. We're going to get into it, but you have that special teams blunder, that special teams turnover after a 9-play, 68-yard drive led by Arthur Smith's offense, right? They punch it in for 7 on the ensuing kickoff. The Jets fumble it, and they give it right back to Pittsburgh. All of a sudden, 1 play later, another Pittsburgh touchdown. So the momentum completely flipped. And again, Jets young team, new head coach, new OC, Steve Wilkes back in the NFL, new quarterback, new systems, new play callers. Everything is brand new. And one team is led by Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Queen and Cam Hayward and all these different veterans. You can't give these veteran-led teams a chance to come back in the game. And look, it's not like Xavier Gibson wanted to fumble, obviously. I don't want to pin the loss on him. He's the sole reason why the Jets lost. No, it's not the case. But it was the turning point. It was the turning point. And, unfortunately, he had the fumble early in the game. McCurry ball landed on it, so we kind of lucked out there. But there was a lot of speculation early when the 53-man roster came out. Hey, Pritchett kind of fills that same type of role and was very impressive in camp and preseason. There's a lot of fans that wanted or were opting for Pritchett in that role. But again, a special teams blunder, the turnover, we know what it takes to win in the NFL. Turnovers are crucial. They're crucial. From the defensive side, you need them. From the offensive side, you cannot have them. And on special teams, in moments where you're just trying to battle for those extra inches, those extra yardage, let's try to get in a better field position. You have a blunder like that, it'll kill you. So the second issue, pass defense. I can't even believe I'm talking about the pass defense here. Not only is corner one of the deepest positions with just flat out talent, But the team is led by Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilkes, two former DB coaches. In the case of Aaron Glenn, he's a former DB. So I was actually stunned to see Michael Carter not look great, Brandon Stevens not look great, Tony Adams not look great, Andre Sisco. We did get beat over the top, and in this style of system, you just cannot afford to get beat over the top. But when I watched Andre Sisco, there was nothing really to me, or really the safety play in general, that I'm saying, hey, this is really helping the defense. I actually saw a lot of people complaining about the defense overall throughout the course of the game. Frankly, I disagree. I felt like the front was handling business. The front was ferocious. Quincy Williams sack. Jermaine Johnson, first game back after an Achilles tear, flying around looking strong, fast, and quick. Will McDonald, 2 sacks, right? Harrison Phillips, Briggs was out there making plays. Jamie Sherwood, Quincy Williams, the front, in my opinion, there was a lot of stuff, a lot of impressive things, a lot of impressive snaps from the front. But it really, stopping the run, setting the edge, all that stuff felt like it was in control. Getting in the backfield, getting Rodgers, to move around a little bit. All that stuff was there. It was just the coverage was just non-existent. The hell, and again, whatever you're talking about, a man coverage style of system like this, you got to be able to stick hip to hip. You have to have that sticky coverage, and there's just moments where it's like, Brandon Stevens not getting his head around. Andre Sisco not almost looking like, okay, the play's over. Oh, wait, no, it's not. And the play continues on. Tony Adams not wrapping up DK Metcalf in open field, kind of doing that stomping the feet thing that you see at every level of football when you're unsure about trying to bring down the ball carrier instead of just flying in like a missile. Just moments like that, right? And again, Michael Carter in the slot, you just kind of felt like Rodgers was taking advantage of it. And, when you're running this style of defense and you're going up against a veteran quarterback in Rodgers, someone who's just an offensive wizard, yeah, he's going to find the matchup that he wants. He identified, there's been a lot of work that has been going into this week 1 game. Aaron Glenn's defenses and whatnot, everyone knew that he was going to be running a lot of man coverage. So if Rodgers knows that, and he's identifying matchups that he likes, and then the coverage is not sticky, the coverage is not hip to hip, and there is a couple mistakes, it's just going to result in a long day, and that's exactly what happened, right? Through the air, Rodgers ripped the defense, the secondary apart, 4 touchdown passes. I don't think Rodgers looked elite or anything. I think the mobility and stuff is going to be somewhat of a concern moving forward, but, as far as from what we saw today, I did not like the pass coverage. I did not like the pass defense whatsoever. I thought Gardner looked okay. There were times where he would stick his hand in, make a play on the ball. I counted 2 passes defended against from Gardner, but and one of which was just like this weird kind of like lucky play where he gets his hand and he makes a fantastic play. The ball bounces off Andre Sisco and into the hands of someone else, and it was like a free gain of 10 or a gain of 9 or whatever it was. That drove me up a wall in the fourth quarter, right in the end. So yeah, pass coverage not good. Xavier Gibson fumble on special teams not good. And then the other thing, which I mean, this shouldn't really come as a surprise, but every wide receiver outside of Garrett Wilson was just non-existent. Invisible. Josh Reynolds had a couple catches, but it's not really showing up that much throughout the course of the game until the 2-minute drive, where not only does the veteran coach Mike Tomlin know that the Jets are going to be throwing it, not only is TJ Watt and Highsmith, all these guys knowing that the Jets are going to be throwing it, but they also know that Garrett Wilson is the only viable pass catcher at the wide receiver position. It seems like he's the only functioning player that can get open. It didn't really result in a lot of, productive plays. I mean, yeah, you kind of have the field's mobility aspect of it, which is, God, did that come in handy today. We're going to talk about Justin in just a second here. Absolutely loved what I saw from Justin Fields. We're going to talk a lot about Fields, but again, when it comes to the wide receiver, being in a 2-minute drill, and you only to end the game, to potentially go down and kick a game-winning field goal, and you have one viable wide receiver who can get open. Josh Reynolds had a ball go right through his hands in that last drive. And like when that happened, my thought was just like all the Jets fans that have been pounding on the table, can we just get someone viable? And they've thrown out name after name after name after name after name, all offseason, free agency, draft, late summer edition, waiver claim, summer, some of these veteran options that were out there. I mean, we all saw what Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen looked like he found the fountain of youth the other night for the Chargers. We could have used that. Now, of course, it takes two to tango. Of course, a wide receiver has to want to come to play for the Jets. And that really isn't the Jets' MO, throwing it all around. But in moments like that, I guarantee you it would have stressed the defense more if we had another pass catcher who could get open by him. Like, I'm not going to put him on the same level as Garrett Wilson, obviously. But just someone who can at least do something. So that to me were the three critical areas on why and there are some other moments, but personally I'm not going to nitpick the Jets, right? Like going 4-for-2. Oh yeah, we didn't get it. But I understand it from Glenn's perspective. Home opener, first game of the season, trying to set the tone, you get the break with the penalty, short yardage. It's not like he's just like, let's just go for 2. Let's just, do it randomly. They had a good reason to do it. They just simply couldn't convert. You can kind of talk about like, okay, why wasn't Mason Taylor really involved in the, in the game plan? The Jets should have had, timeouts to end the game. I mean, it's a first-year coach. I'm not going to expect an A+ performance. There are going to be speed bumps along the way. There's probably going to be games where Tanner Engstrand rolls out a crappy game plan. Today was not one of those days at all. But there's probably going to be a couple, again, clunkers throughout the course of the season. It just comes with being a young staff like this. Glenn doing it for the first time in this position. Again, Engstrand, Fields, he's still growing. There's a lot of new things happening. While at the same time trying to rebuild the absolutely horrendous culture that took place over the last 2 to 3 to 4 seasons. But really, primarily the last 2 seasons. So, there's a lot. Like, this was a big job. A big job for whoever took it. Brian Flores, Mike Vrabel, all these different guys. When Glenn accepted that job, there was a lot of stuff that he has to clean up. So I'm not going to just completely rip the coaching staff for wasting timeouts early, and not being able to convert on the 2 2-point attempts here. Again, context. We have to look at who we're playing. So. For me, again, those were the 3 big critical areas. Let's talk about some positives, though, right? Let's switch it up and talk about positives because, man, there were so many of them. The Jets did exactly what they wanted to do. They ran more plays than Pittsburgh. They had more yards than Pittsburgh. I felt like the Jets were just running the football all day on this Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Let me pull up the exact number because I really want to get this team total for rushing yards. 182 rushing yards to 53. The Jets handled business. They won time of possession. This, to me, is exactly how the Jets want to play. They won first downs, 23 first downs to 19 first downs. The Jets won so many different categories. If it just wasn't for a couple of critical mistakes, I really felt like the Jets were going to win this game. And, we weren't perfect. Again, there were a couple of weird penalties. But personally, I'm not going to complain about the penalties because I felt like the officiating from top to bottom was atrocious. The Steelers looked out. The Jets looked out a couple times. The Steelers were getting flagged for things that I didn't think were flags. The Jets were getting flagged for things that I didn't think were flags. I felt like awful game from the officiating. So, whenever it's bad on both sides, you can never blame. In my opinion, I feel weird criticizing officiating. Now, if it's one-sided, it's one-sided, then it's a different story. But, I think third downs, we had a better percentage, right? 7 of 14, 50%. What was Pittsburgh? 4 of 10. And I believe the majority of those third down conversions actually came in the first half. So, yeah, able to run the ball effectively. Able to pick up yards pretty much at will. Able to get in the end zone for TDs. Able to pick up first downs, able to eat the clock, able to rest our defense. Like, we did a lot of really, really impressive stuff, man. And again, to kind of go back to the start of the video, watching that game, it just looks completely different than the past couple of seasons, and that fires me up. It really, really does. let's end with Justin Fields. We have heard for months, reporter after reporter after reporter after reporter, TV show, radio show, everyone has been on top of Justin Fields, analyzing every throw, every comment. I mean, even before the game, Justin Fields is wearing gloves in pregame warmups. Oh, it's raining. Justin Fields hasn't looked good in the rain in training camp. It's something to monitor. He goes out and freaking dominates, given the context, right? He didn't throw for 400 yards, 4 touchdowns or anything, but when I think about what a good game plan, a good plan of attack, if I'm Tanner Strand, okay, realistically speaking, again, understanding the lack of wide receiver talent, understanding that probably the second best pass catcher on the team is rookie tight end Mason Taylor. By the way, shout out to Jeremy Rucker, 2 third down conversions. I really like that. Really like that. Fields was awesome. He was putting balls in play. He was converting multiple third downs. He looked like he knew where to go with the football. The processing was awesome. He did not put the football in harm's way. There was one throw that I'm like, that was a tough one, but he got away with it, and it was a catch to Jeremy Rucker. Clean game. Not to mention his legs, extending plays, keeping his eyes down the field, keeping it on read options. I felt like Justin was awesome. If Justin can play like that every week, we're going to be not only just in a lot of games, but we're actually going to be winning a lot of games because, to open up against Pittsburgh, that is a tough ask. I mean, you're looking at the slate of games this week. The Jets had a pretty tough opponent here. We can't just sweep that under the rug and just say, oh, we lost, same old Jets. There's a lot of good, man. There's a lot of positives that we can pull away from this. The energy, again, I felt like was really, really impressive. I like just how violent the Jets played, how they looked. But 16 for 22, 1 passing touchdown, 2 rushing touchdowns for Justin Fields. By the way, the QB sneak, the goal line, that came into play. This is something that we were talking about the other day, right? Where if the Jets can get really good converting, I want to say 95% of the time, if we roll out 20 attempts, if we're converting on 19 of them, all of a sudden you start having to game plan for the Jets a little bit differently. The Jets could very well be in positions where it's 1st and 9. Every drive is 1st and 9 because 1 yard is always going to be automatic. And that adds up over the course of the game. That adds up over the course of the season. When one team has to travel 10 yards and the other team only has to go 9 because, again, that one is just, boom. Look at the Eagles. Look at the Eagles, right? This is kind of their bread and butter. So, yeah, Jets lose, tough loss. Bills next week. But, man, for a team that everybody has been making fun of for months, the Jets are a joke. Should have kept Rodgers, this and that, just one criticism after another. To take it like that to the Steelers and to arguably have a chance to win if Garrett Wilson hung onto that ball, scratch out the Gibson fumble. Do we win the game? I'd say there's a good chance. Of course, credit Pittsburgh. Rodgers went out and handled business. DK Metcalf, I thought, looked pretty good, pretty effective, especially as a ball carrier outside of the one drop, of course. Austin, I thought, looked great. Lots to build on here. If I'm Aaron Glenn, if I'm Tanner Strand, I'm hitting the locker room, right? I'm getting back to the facility tonight, tomorrow morning, whenever it's going to be, saying, I'm rewatching this tape. I'm saying, we are far along in the process. I mean, look at Carolina, the mistakes that they're having. Look at New Orleans, the mistakes that they're having. The Miami Dolphins, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Tua, all these great players. Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, Minka Fitzpatrick. They get blown out by Indianapolis. What year is it for Mike McDaniel? 3, 4, something like that? I mean, the Jets look like we are, again, far along in the process here. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. A lot of content coming this week. I'm so pumped up about it, so fired up to... There's a lot of topics I want to dive into. But, credit Justin Fields. Credit Breece Hall, over 100 yards on the ground. But if I'm Glenn, use this game as an example on we're close, but close doesn't cut it. And if we can just eliminate a couple of things, we will be in a much better position. But as far as a week 1 opener, let's freaking go, man. a lot to talk about. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. I really, really appreciate you guys. As always, go Jets.